Okay.
And in the late 70s, going on toward the 80s, we met a guy by the name of Dick Griffey, who had this record called Solar Records. And this is where you probably come in because you're very young. But 1980s, when we had our first big hit called "And the Beat Goes On," and really, as they say, that's kind of what the rest was history. Because once we got that hit, I guess for the next 6 or 7 years, everything that we had was either platinum, double platinum, and that's where it started. That's where our audience said, "We really like you guys, and we think you guys can do this."
Oh wow! Oh wow! That's a blessing. So I wanted to know, when in terms of your classic style and your presentation, where did that come from? I mean, because some people struggle with having their signature sound. Clearly you all had that because they gave you your name. And then where did the style, the way you dress, the way you present yourselves, all of that come from? The coordination, all that on stage.
Yeah.
Where'd that come from?
So that came from that 2-year span that we worked in the little club I just mentioned, the Sportsman Club. Every major act came through that club, and we were like the opening act for those people.
Okay.
The owner, who was the owner by the name of Dick Barnett, he allowed us to be, I would say that was our schooling. That would be college for us, because we saw Curtis Mayfield, we saw the OJs, we saw all of the major acts, and we picked up this from that one and that one from this, and put our act together, and that's where we really learned our craft, as far as I'm concerned. And that's where it really came from in terms of, I would say, believe it or not, the OJs of all the groups that we saw had the most, they impressed us more than anybody, even the Temptations. And at that time, the Temptations were it. They were the number one group in the world. And we thought that was great until we saw the 5, not 2 but 3 OJs. They are the ones that made us say, hey, now we know what we got to do. And I give them the credit. The question that you asked, where did it come from? I would give the credit to them, because we watched, they were doing it better than anybody as far as we were concerned. Yeah. And we learned from them.
Well, but let me continue on, because you asked about the style and the dress.
Yeah.
Nicholas Caldwell, who we lost in 2016, was the originator of the style. The Whispers were known as balladeers. And what we really said to ourselves, we want to be known for a group that complements the ladies, our mothers, our sisters, and the songs that we sang. In fact, the biggest songs we've ever had, one called Lady in particular, the biggest tune that we ever had.
Yeah.
That style kind of originated with Nicholas Caldwell. He was the guy that did our choreography. Mm-hmm. He was the guy that basically gave us of how we were going to do what we did when we got on stage. Presentation. And it really, we kind of became known as a genre of vocal groups. You know, we wanted to be classic, sophisticated, but above all, we wanted to be known for giving the utmost respect to the ladies. And basically, to our credit, I mean, we got lucky, because that's what we became known for. And one of the biggest hits that we've ever had in our career was called Lady.
Yes, indeed. So it's the giving out of the roses. I noticed you all did that in many of your concerts and things of that. Do you still do that, and where did that idea come from? Or did it just fit into the whole motif of, and the feeling, the vibe of, you know, honoring ladies?
That's it. That's exactly right. It entered into the vibe of honoring ladies. But Nicholas Caldwell, again, was the one that came up with the idea. We did our show, and we said, now we need to do something to show that what we did, let's prove what we said is true. So let's give out roses to the ladies. And that started, oh my God, over 40 years ago. And to this day, if you come to the Whisper show, after the show, you can get some roses thrown at you. No question.
That is beautiful.
As we are still mourning and celebrating the life, the legacy, and of course the huge impact the Whispers member, co-founding member, that is Walter Scott, you know, together with his twin brother Wallace, you know, who founded the Whispers. Like I've told you, the legendary R&B singer passed away just yesterday at the age of 81 after a 6-month battle with health-related issues. Now his family came out and confirmed this report, and of course they said he passed away surrounded by his family in Northridge neighborhood in Los Angeles. Walter Scott had been living with a couple of health related issues for 6 months, and he succumbed to the illness. Now his twin brother Wallace came out and honored him via their official Instagram page of the Whispers, and said he's a living legend, a giant of R&B, and of course his legacy and impact is going to be felt for years and years. We all know the Whispers actually, despite their prolific output, they did not find commercial success until the late 70s, when they joined Dick and Jeffrey Solar Records, and of course the group's 1979 self-titled album in particular was hugely popular and contained, the band's signature song "And the Beat Goes On." Subsequent albums like the 1980s Imagination, the 1982's Love Is Where You Find It, and the 1987's Just Gets Better with Time solidified the Whispers band as a reliable force, in the world of soul, R&B, and disco. Their impact, man, is really huge, because up to now, just recently, we've been seeing, so many artists sampling their music, sampling their songs, and of course their extensive catalog that includes "And the Beat Goes On," "Rocksteady," and so many other songs. You can check them out. Some of the greatest hits that have been produced by the Whispers have influenced modern day R&B and soul music. So the legend passed away just yesterday, and of course the funeral and memorial service updates have not been released yet by the family. We are waiting to see, but of course tributes are still coming out. So many people are still paying their own respects, and of course the obituary is really huge because of the huge name Scott Wallace was. We are praying. Walter Scott was. We are praying for the whole family, the friends, the fans, because man, they are going through a very tough time. Rest in power, the king. That is Walter Scott.